And I'm joined today with Bryant and Emily Rourke from the Bryant Law Center, and we're going to field some of the questions you guys have sent in. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right. Well, our first caller says, I was involved in a hit and run, and even though I have the offender's information, the police are refusing to pursue this matter. Is there legal recourse I can take?
Sure. If they won't pursue it, you can always go to the sheriff's office or the county attorney's office and ask them to take out a warrant. You know, they don't have to do that, but if you feel like you have enough information and you feel like that you really have been wronged and there was a hit and run, go ahead and go to the county attorney's office and ask to talk to someone about taking out a complaint, or the sheriff's department here in McCracken County.
Yeah, let me say something about that too. I used to be the Commonwealth's attorney in Paducah, and one thing you have to be cautious of when you go sign a warrant for somebody, you better be really sure that they're the ones that did it, because you could have some liability of your own for misconduct and for wrongful prosecution. So be darn sure you do it before you sign it.
Okay, that's probably really good information too to think about. All right, our next caller says, I was involved in an accident several months ago and I didn't receive a medical evaluation because I didn't notice any injuries. However, over the past few weeks, I've discovered that I have some back problems that my doctor believes were caused by this accident. Will my delayed medical evaluation hurt my case, or is it too late to pursue compensation for my injuries entirely?
Well, first let me tell you, there are a lot, people make fun of it when somebody's in a wreck and they claim they weren't hurt and they didn't have an ambulance, and then sometime later it turns out that they were, and they always poo-poo it and say it couldn't really be true. But the fact of the matter is that happens all the time. That's why it's important when you're in an automobile accident, unless you really feel like you shouldn't, you need to go to the emergency room and at least report it, because this will hurt your claim, because the jury ultimately may have to make the decision. And a lot of times those people that sit on a jury are going to think, well, it must not really be true, or they would have done something about it in the very beginning. So the best thing is to just start dealing with doctors right after you've had a wreck. And if you're fine, so be it. But if you're not, you're in a lot better shape by doing it that way.
Okay. We had a friend that she fell after a wreck and then ended up with a brain bleed. Oh. And if she'd sought some medical attention, she wouldn't have had such a problem. But so a lot of times we think we're better than we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wants to be fine all the time, but you're just not. When you have these car wrecks, I mean, they can really be devastating. And Emily and I, and Kevin over there in Austin, I mean, we do so much PI, and it's not at all unusual to see a case where you have $500,000 or even $1 million in medical expenses, and then there's not enough insurance to cover it. So that's why every time I'm on here, I talk about how important it is for people to get underinsured and uninsured motorist coverage as much as you can afford, because there's a lot of people running around with no insurance, or the minimum, which is $25,000 worth of insurance in Kentucky. And if you don't have your own insurance, you're not going to be covered if you're in a terrible accident, and they happen every single day, especially with I-24 the way it is out there. You all saw recently, that's the 5th worst, most dangerous interstate in America, right here in this stretch from Paducah to Clarksville. In Clarksville, we all know that's a zoo down there too.
I don't think you'll find anybody that'll disagree with you on that one. Well, all right, you guys, will y'all stay with me? We've got some more questions to ask, but we need to take a quick break.
Okay.
Thank you.
You guys come back right after this.